I'm sorry. I actually thought about this and I was going to say this in the beginning and then I totally forgot to tell the story because all the other shit came up. This is the story that I wanted to come on and tell. Also, my hair is very funny, but I like it. Okay, so, basically, this girl who I work with, dude. So she there was a whole thing where like there was another girl who had like I don't know why she had a whole bunch of rent money in her backpack. It was like $6,000 or something. Why she had $6,000 in her backpack, the world may never know. I guess this woman has never heard of a bank. So she's just carrying around cash in her backpack, and the cash gets stolen. Now everybody in the restaurant assumes that it's this one girl who stole the money because she had been like roaming around telling everybody how she was like trying to come up with rent money and she was going to get evicted or whatever. Now, I'm just listening to all this. Like, I didn't have any opinion. I didn't insert any comments. I'm just like listening, taking it all in. Everybody else had a ton of shit to say about this. I'm like, okay, this is fine. Whatever, whatever. Anyway, so today comes around and I just asked her. So the company has this thing where, like, if you're struggling, you can just apply for this, like, needy fund or whatever. And with the needy fund, they will, like, you can apply for it and they will, like, give you funds or whatever to help you if you're in a rough patch. And everyone and all the employees contribute like 1% of their paycheck or whatever to the fund. And then if you get into like a medical accident or something like that, like if you need help paying for a bill or something, you can just apply for it. So I'm wondering like why I shouldn't apply for it. So today I just asked her, I was like, hey dude, like when you were before you got evicted, why didn't you just apply for that needy fund? And she was like, oh, because it was gonna take too long and so I didn't want to go through the process to apply. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting or whatever, fine. And then she was like, oh, well, like I come from like a really good family, like my parents' home is worth like $1.5 million and like we'll have it's like a 7,500 square foot home. So, I wasn't one of those people who like if I get put out, it's not going to be a big deal. And like I'm sorry, like I grew up around these type of people and these type of people drive me fucking nuts. And I would just like to say you should never aim to be this person because like here's the reality. Like I feel like one day her and her family together will come to the conclusion that first of all she's a fucking baby, and then second of all like she said this. She said my parents never actually wanted me to move out. They begged me to stay. Like if you're over 18, why do your parents want you to stay in the house? I kind of wonder that. Like why wouldn't they want you to go off? Like send you off to like we have a thing called college and you can like go. You can be like you can go to college and then you can get a career and then you can pay bills with your money, you know what I'm saying? And you can like be out in the world as an adult and then you can build your own money. Like why would you just like hoard I don't know. I guess like it to me it was just kind of this example of I'm not trying to be funny here, but like that is what white privilege can buy. It's like every single thing is a joke. Like get it like she literally didn't pay rent for 3 months and it was fine. Like it took her 3 months to get evicted, and she like didn't pay any money, and it was like her and other people living in a nice apartment, and they didn't pay rent for 3 months, and then they got evicted. This was actually funny too because I think I took the video down or I put it on Patreon, so you can go see the entire story on Patreon. There's another girl who I know who there's a so she has four roommates, right? One of the so they all sign a lease for a house, and one of the roommates doesn't pay any rent for like I think it was 5 months. So everybody else was like paying, but 1/4 of the money every month wasn't coming. So then the landlord basically said, okay, we're gonna have to find another tenant to cover like this portion of the rent that's not being paid, and the girl has to get out if she's not gonna pay her portion. But it took 5 months before any action was like taken. Now, I'm just here to say that all in all, this is fucking hilarious. Like, this is America, and this is like, this is like what white society is just like all day. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard of that. Like, a black person who like doesn't pay rent for 5 months, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is totally fine. Like, that is non existent. That does. I mean, that's what I'm talking. When I'm talking about privilege, that's what I'm talking about. And I feel like a lot of you guys don't even see that. And it's like not just one person. Like back when I was living in California, like every fucking person I know was living at home. This is why it took me so long to move out. Cause like, why should I fucking adult? Like, what's the point? Like the guy I'm dating is like living. He was like one of them was like living at home with his parents, but it's like they own a house in the hills, so why should he move out? Like Danny never moved out. Like he was just using the entire bottom floor of like his parents' home. I was like taking meetings on top of, I had like set up a beach chair on top of my garage and I was taking Zoom meetings. All of it is just kind of like a joke. Like, why should you really adult? I'm saying if you have the capacity to be a zillennial and mooch off of your parents, maybe do it. But one day, like, you will have to grow up. But until, like, you know, the rubber hits the road and they force you to do it, I would encourage you to just mooch as long as you can. But I feel like, you know, if you're going to mooch, use that time to just gain something. Like, gain a skill, a career, an education. Like, gain something that's going to, like, push you forward. I don't know if that makes sense, but